Welcome to the Danny Clinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Insightful and witty commentary, probing interviews, and detours from the beaten path.
Every once in a while, we have to bring out the big dog.
Yeah.
Oh, God help us. It's time for Danny Unleashed. Sponsored by Easton Roofing, where integrity matters. Go to eastonroofing.com for more.
Oh, man. Classic edition of Danny Unleashed today.
Wow. Avoid I-435 East. Get off the road before
Before the triangle?
I purposely threw the road in there, or we would have had an instant fun fest there. But get off the road before Antioch.
Before Antioch?
It becomes a parking lot at Antioch. There's a wreck in the left lane.
Antioch is the problem.
Well, there's a left lane accident in 435, but it becomes a parking lot about Antioch.
Okay.
So then I had the joy of coming here on the most lovely thoroughfare in America, 119th Street, all the way from 69, with the 14 lights and bad driving. So it was great. It was absolutely fantastic. 119 is a spit show anyway, in good conditions.
You can see things like when you're driving into work, you can see somebody who has a dog over them and out the window of the driver's side and just blows through a red light and pulls out in front of you. You have to slam on the brakes and change lanes.
It's bad.
That was this morning.
It's bad even when there aren't idiots.
Strong.
That's the thing. Yeah. I mean, it's just I live in Western Shawnee, and when I was at the station all the time, it often took me about as long to get from the radio station to 69 as it did the rest of the way home. So that was like about 2 miles, and then it was about maybe 12 more miles.
I don't care if you want to bring your dog in the car. I grew up with dogs. We had dogs.
Love a dog.
The dog should not be draped across you while you're trying to steer an automobile.
Oh, no. but Muffin likes to poke her head out the door with the window while I drive. Oh, I'm sorry.
I absolutely love dogs, but some people just take it to, vacation. Get a sitter. Dog on the plane. I mean, come on. It's a dog. And we have 2 dogs. I love them. My wife's out of town right now. I'm the caretaker for the dogs. I'm fine with it. They sleep on the bed with me, whatever. But come on, they're not children. They're dogs.
Oh, but it's like her children. Oh. The dogs are like her children.
This is literally Danny Unleashed.
Yeah. It is.
And this is from a dog lover. Our dogs are treated like princes and a princess, with a prince and a princess. Not allowed to be at home for more than like 4 hours without being attended to by somebody.
You're your own miserable mess then.
Right. Well, that's the way my wife has constructed the life for those dogs, and they expect it. This is the story that happened. The joke.
Oh boy.
The joke always was, and I'll do this fast.
No, you won't.
My wife always wanted to have a playmate for our corgi. We've had 2 corgis now. Corgis are the most wonderful dogs ever. The Queen's dogs, lovely dogs, perfect in just about every way. Don't cause problems. They shed. That's about the only thing that sucks. But so my wife is always lobbying for a playmate for the dogs, and I say, I don't have any rules, honey, but the total of dogs and husbands is 2. Okay.
Well, now you have 2 dogs. It sounds like.
Now hold on. That was the rule forever. I say no. So finally, several years ago, however old Charlie is, she sent me an email. Look at this poor dog. He's sheltered. Whatever. I'm like, same line. Total of dogs and husbands is 2. Went to the Super Bowl with you. That's what it was when we went to Dallas. I come back from the Super Bowl. There's Charlie in her lap. I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm leaving. but I'm not. And Charlie has been is an absolute terror, but he's a wonderful dog. So anyway, but let's not not have dogs in your lap on the highway and little doggy cages on a plane. I mean, please, go on vacation, relax. It is actually one of the joys of going on vacation now is the dogs aren't around. It's a little vacation from the dogs,
Yeah, I know. Danny Clinkscale, by the way, this joy that is Danny Clinkscale is brought to you by Easton Roofing. They do more than just roofing. Did you know they do attic insulation as well? Some of the things to look for is that you might need attic insulation or maybe better attic ventilation. Problem signs include cold upstairs, ice dams forming in your gutters, lots of icicles hanging from your gutters. These are all problems, and Easton Roofing can handle it. There are many roofing materials you cannot install when it's 40 degrees or colder, like today. They work with multiple manufacturers and only install roofing materials approved for cold weather during this cold season. Vast majority of roofing contractors give no thought to this. In fact, they put that material up. The temperature is too low, then you're just going to be replacing that roof in 2 or 3 years. At Easton Roofing, integrity matters. Call 913-257-5426. See them online at eastonroofing.com. Danny Eli Drinkwitz, your thoughts?
Well, I don't think there's any way you can sit around as a Missouri fan and huzzah. You can't. I mean, you can hope, and you can see that he has a nice background, but he's a one-year head coach who won games with somebody else's players. So I'm just going to – it's not cool to say I don't know or not have a strong opinion, but how can you really have a straight – either way. He's been a long-time offensive coordinator. He's called plays. He's a highly praised young man who people think is an up-and-comer, but he's an unproven commodity. Every other candidate that they had, and boy, that was a real vagabond list, wasn't it? At least they were all experienced, but I mean, I understand why the board of curators probably texted each other with a flurry of WTFs.
At least they were all alive. I mean,
they were all. So he's got this list, and the board of curators goes bat spit, and says, I don't know, I don't think so. Who's that rogues gallery you're serving us up of has-beens and never-weres? And then you hire a 36-year-old guy. So I think I actually feel kind of positive about the guy.
I liked what I heard today.
And I did too.
Sounds like a man. He sounded a lot better than Barry Odom did at the podium his first time.
Sounds like he's convicted. The only thing that, like in that soundbite, that's going to be quarterback driven. Well, you better get your ass a quarterback. you sit there at a press conference and say that you're going to quarterback driven program, and as far as I can tell, right now he don't have a quarterback.
Right.
I mean, the guy that played the last game has just had knee surgery. Maybe he'll be ready to play next year. I don't think anybody thought he was some hot shot to begin with. But maybe he'll be Gary Pinkel, and he'll always have a quarterback.
I think that's the closest thing I've heard. I don't know that anybody would call their shot the way Pinkel did, stating we will always have a quarterback at Missouri as long as I'm here. And I don't see anybody doing that, but I think this is as close to it as you can get, that he is saying he made it clear how important the quarterback is.
Absolutely. You call your offense quarterback driven and make a point of saying it. Now, every offense is, in this day and age is really quarterback driven. It's hard to win without a quarterback. There's no question about that. But, for instance, Chris Kleiman's offense, while he has a fine quarterback, is designed really to be a run-heavy power attack. You could probably win the way he wants to play without a standout quarterback, as long as he is a good ball handler and, can fake and all that good stuff and can run a little bit. And is an adequate passer, maybe like the string of Wisconsin quarterbacks we've seen. Serviceable, but enough to win games, but not great. Maybe at best to back up in the NFL, that type of quarterback. But this sounds like he wants NFL-style quarterbacks because that's going to make the show go. So I think you have to just sit there and watch what happens. I mean, One thing I don't understand, however, is why you just – I mean, did Drinkwitz get to say, sorry, I'm not coming for $2.8 million. I'll stay here for my $700,000, and they're paying him $4 million. Now, I understand that's not super high pay in the SEC, but are you just obligated to pay it?
I think you got there because Arkansas wanted him.
Now, maybe that is the case.
Because Arkansas ended up hiring a guy for like $3.5. Had they hired a guy for $5, I'd say, well, I mean, I guess you could.
Although he did make the hire first.
I guess you could make it. Yeah, that's my point. They lost on him.
No, I mean, Arkansas made the hire first.
Well, no, I don't think so.
I mean, they announced it sooner. First,
I don't think so.
No?
I think the word on Drinkwitz came up first. That's my recollection. It was that, and then right after that, we're going to hire the Georgia offensive line coach.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
My recollection is
they
said that Arkansas said we've changed gears here because of other developments, and that other development I think everyone believes was the fact that Eli Drinkwitz said, "I'm going to Mizzou."
Yeah, I think maybe they knew. I think they may have announced first, but it doesn't really matter. And maybe that's why it got to $4 million. I don't know. On the surface, what I would say when you're looking at it is that Missouri kind of came last in the pecking order of the big jobs. I think most people would probably say, I don't know, that the Georgia line coach and Drinkwitz, maybe that's a toss-up, but the other ones are much more known commodities. So, and I guess we're people that Missouri felt they had no chance of getting. Now, I can't necessarily say they wanted Lane Kiffin or the Memphis coach, but I think they probably did.
What would you, if you were Mike Norvell, who by all accounts is really the hot young gun on the way up, and Drinkwitz is too. He's just further down on the way up. If you were Norvell, would you take Florida State or would you take Missouri?
I would take Florida State, no question.
Well, I think that's pretty easy then.
Right, but also I think Kiffin probably might rank higher, although there's a lot of baggage there with Kiffin. There's no question about that. But he's been winning games at a good program, so. Like I said, I have a generally positive feeling about the hire, but I don't think you can sit there and say, oh, yeah, we're ready to roll. Look out, Georgia.
No, but I think you can like what you've heard so far.
Sure, absolutely.
I think if he gets the quarterback and he plays offense, then he's a long way down the road. But I think the East is tougher now than it was when they first got in, for sure. I think Kirby Smart is better than Mark Richt. I think Dan Mullen is better than anything they've had since Urban Meyer.
Agreed.
And he may be Urban Meyer. Let's see. He's only, 2 years in at Florida?
Right.
2 years in at Florida, and he went 10-2.
And he did some really good work at his previous stop.
Yes, he
did.
A
much more difficult job.
Yes, he did. And he got the quarterback right time and time again there.
Right.
And so that's one of the things I considered him for my Coach of the Year vote in the AP. Because he did it without really having a steady situation at quarterback.
Right.
So
he got Mississippi State to number 1 in the country once, didn't he? I believe so.
They were top 5. I don't know if they got to number 1.
They were number 1 once. I know that because I remember hearing Curtis's question the other day.
Oh, is that what it was?
About being number 1 in the playoff poll at one point in time because 4 SEC teams did it, and they were one of them. I know that.
He said all the right things. We're going to recruit Missouri. We're going to make sure we do that first. Did you pick up a lot? What I heard a lot was it's going to take all of us. That scares me. And the point I made to start the program was the only thing I hear there that's a little bit concerning is I think when those guys are making that opening statement, they're really addressing the issues that were put in front of them by the people that were hiring them.
Right. I think implicit in him saying it's going to take all of us is that there's some fracture there.
Well,
and he sensed it during the hiring process.
Yes, and so that scares me. And I think at some point the board of curators has to do their part.
Right.
What it is, I don't know.
Supposedly, three of them jumped on a plane and went and saw him to say, "We've got the ADs back." Where these reports out here that you hear, it was a faction of mutants or something within the board of curators. But we're here to tell you that we're all behind Jim Sturck. He's our man.
Well, that's that.
Maybe that sealed the deal.
I can't say that that's the case necessarily with the Missouri fans.
I totally agree. I think the Missouri fan base is an interesting lot. I think they have high expectations. I think they're emotional, but they've been given a lot to be emotional about.
Right.
But if it was a professional franchise, I think you might sort of call Missouri team turmoil a little bit.
Yeah.
Through the years.
Yeah, I think it's fair.
You think that's fair, Curtis? You're a Missouri guy.
I absolutely do. Yeah. It seems in both sports that it seems that's kind of been an ongoing theme. Hasn't always been that way, but if you just kind of took a timeline and marked the spots where that happened, you'd see a pretty consistent pattern.
I mean, both sports, not just on the field coaching, but curators,
yes,
off the field, presidents.
For 20 years.
Jailhouse conversations. We don't want to go all the way back there, but, and problems on campus, highly publicized nationally. So I think that was his way of saying, we've got to calm the waters here. We've got to come together as a university, or it's not going to work for me. So it's a very confident thing to say. Couple real confident things to say.
I agree, but I get tired of it. It's not there, but it's a little bit of Chris Jones saying you got to buy, don't sell your tickets.
True.
That there's a little bit of like.
I think the message was more to not to the fans. I don't think. I think the message was more to the administration and the curators. Just stay out of my way. I'm the football coach. Look at big programs around the country. The football coach runs the place, not you guys. Okay.
Well, those football coaches that run it win.
Right, exactly.
So he needs to go win before anybody gets out of his way.
No doubt.
And they need to make good hires, which they haven't consistently.
Right. Agreed. I mean, this is a huge – Jim Sturck's going to be on the job for at least a couple more years making good money. I'm not going to feel bad for him. He gets canned, and a couple of years down the road he's going to be a comfortable man. But – he's going to be down the road if this doesn't work, I would think, because Conzo Martin's headed in the wrong direction, it would seem, right now. And that's his hire. And then if this one doesn't work, well, I don't know.
Yeah. No, I'm with you.
Especially in Missouri. I mean, like I said, we're talking about a bit of team turmoil here. The demands are high. So we'll see. I like I said, I have a generally optimistic feel about this guy, but podiums don't win games.
No, and then they went defense to offense. Right,
we always talk about it.
Yeah.
Players coach, disciplinarian, whatever.
I think he sounds the part. That's all I can go on right now. I know his resume. His resume says he certainly was worth a look, and I do think that the Sean McVay era of coach hiring is not just in the NFL; it's in college football, and everybody's looking for the wonder kid, and so you're having to hire him before they've actually had a chance to get all their experience. So I don't mind that Missouri, listen, I was critical, and I thought one of the big mistakes they made in Barry Odom was that he had no head coaching experience. This guy has 1 year. I would have preferred 4 or 5.
Agreed.
But the 1 year is big. There's a much bigger difference having 1 year's head coaching experience and none than there is between 1 and 2.
I would totally agree with that, but when you're talking about 4, at least you get to judge a recruiting cycle.
That's right, and that's the big thing, where if it's like I'm fine, the resume says he's ready to go based upon how the hiring process works right now. But anyone who declares victory, we don't know if this man can recruit.
No, and to me the other positive is just a goofy positive. And this comes from a man whose name is Clinkscale, okay? Somebody calls you up on the phone and says, I want to be your next football coach. I'm Elijah Drinkwitz. What? I mean, if nobody knew he was the coach and a Missouri fan picked up the pay, Elijah Drinkwitz. Was he an accountant? I mean, it doesn't, So he has overcome, that initial thing every step of the way, that he's Drinkwitz. Hi, I'm Danny Clinkscale. I want to broadcast your game. What?
But as a Missouri fan, I thought Gary Pinkel sounded kind of odd 20 years ago.
Sure.
And after a while, you hear the name Drinkwitz, Eli Drinkwitz. Suddenly, it just seems like it's Joe, not quite Joe Smith.
Oh yeah, they win. They win 10 games, and they'll be hoisting toasts,
right.
Toasting to. Let's have a Drinkwitz.
Steven has already started with things like, hey, after the game, you want to go have a drink with me? I think it's like
exactly.
I think it's like a fun name that you can actually go down the road with. I actually think the name is a strength.
But then if you lose when you got a funny name, then it's bad.
When you lose, it's bad regardless.
That's true. Then there'll be jokes with the drink name.
When you lose, it's bad.
He's driving me to Drinkwitz. This program is driving me to Drinkwitz.
Yes.
Eli's not
just
coming.
More clever.
Eli's not coming. Don't hide your hearts.
We will take a break. We'll come back more with Danny Clinkscale. We'll talk about the Chiefs. Next, it's Danny Unleashed. It's brought to you by our friends at Easton Roofing, commercial and residential roofing, project manager on every site. Happy to do repairs. 4 straight years voted best of houses, Angie's List Super Service Award winner. That's Easton Roofing. Call them today at 913-257-5426. Find them online at eastonroofing.com. Easton Roofing. Integrity matters.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
We're here with Joe Spiker, the president of Easton Roofing. And Joe, you worked for other companies in the construction industry. What inspired you to start your own company in Easton Roofing?
Well, Danny, when you are working for somebody else, you oftentimes don't get to see the project through from beginning to end, and you don't get the final control over the customer experience. And I wanted to build a place where people can come and get work done on their house and not have to worry about being treated the wrong way and get a good customer service experience start to finish.
The company slogan is Where Integrity Matters. Why is that so particularly important to you?
Well, for us, what that means is treating each other with respect at work, treating our clients with respect, and making the right choice, especially when no one's looking. So when you're presented all the time as a contractor with choices that have to be made, are you going to make more money on this if you cut a corner? And we just wanted to make a place and a slogan that said to our people and to whoever is our customer, we're not going to do that. We're going to make the right choice regardless of profit.
Easton Roofing, where integrity matters.
If you'd like to join these and other great sponsors and market your business to a growing and engaged audience, contact us at danny@dannyclinkscale.com. Look forward to hearing from you.
All right, the good sense, end of the hour answer. Heisman Trophy will be named Saturday. How many players have won the Heisman Trophy wearing the number 9? As Joe Burrow is
Expected to do.
Yeah, expected to do.
Heisman Trophy winners wearing the number 9. I don't want to turn yours on yet.
I don't know. I'm trying to think of a prominent player that wears number 9.
The man came in second wearing 9.
I'm having trouble thinking of another 9.
Bradford was 10, right? Or 15 or 18 or something.
Was he 8?
Was he 8?
Bradford was 14.
Nailed it.
Okay.
One of 5 players to wear the number 14. 20, also there's 5. Those are the two most common, 14 and 20.
I'm going to say we haven't had a 9.
Yeah, since I can't think of one, I'll go with that, too.
There have been 0. He would be the first.
There you go. The first to wear number 9.
Yep.
It's been a cursed number.
I just don't think that many people have worn it. I just don't think of.
Bill Kenny.
Right? You can't think of
Jim McMahon.
If you're thinking like of a Missouri quarterback or K-State quarterback or Kansas quarterback, I'm not thinking 9. Generally.
Well, why are you thinking K-State, Kansas, and Missouri quarterbacks in reference to the Heisman Trophy?
Just because it's the easiest thing for me to. I'm just trying to think of any quarterbacks who wear number 9. Period.
How many Heismans reside at those 3 schools?
I wasn't saying they were going to win the Heisman.
I'm just curious.
That would be 0.
I think so. Yeah.
But I wasn't saying for that reason. I was just trying to think of a quarterback, period, that wears 9. And then I can quickly think through those.
Nebraska had one year. Or 9, one of their
Steve Taylor.
Steve Taylor, that was his name, yeah.
I don't know why I remember that.
Good catch. that was almost sick.
That was yes, Pete. The last 20, there were 20, 5 guys wore 20, but no one's worn it since Billy Sims in 1978. It's been a while for them, even though they have the most.
Numbers just go in cycles. One famous person wears it, and other people really like it. I mean, there was nothing cool about 33 until Magic wore it. Or did he wear it first, or Bird? They both wore it, didn't they?
Magic wore
32
in college.
Lakers.
But I thought he wore 33 in college.
State. Yeah, they both wore it at
right.
So
concurrently, they were wearing 33, and then it became kind of a hot number. Did Kareem? What did Kareem?
Kareem was wearing 33. That's why Magic went to 32.
Right.
Marcus Allen wore 33, and he wore 32 in the pros. He wore 33 and winning his Heisman in 81.
Because 32 was worn by
OJ.
No, when he got there, 32 was worn by.
Yeah. Well, they retired.
They had great running backs in a row. So.
Who was right in front of him?
Anthony
Charles White, was it?
Anthony Davis, but he was.
Anthony Davis, that's what it was.
I thought he was 28, but anyway.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, he was 28.
All right, this is
that's enough numerology there. Like uniform. Hey, I think sports geeks do like things like numbers and uniforms and stuff like that.
I was chastised for saying that I considered Dan Mullen for the Coach of the Year, my AP Coach of the Year vote, and which I said I considered him. There's something to the effect of Florida beat one ranked team and went 10-2, and their coach almost got your AP vote for Coach of the Year. I'm like, okay, number one, he didn't almost get it. I said I considered him. So I tried to put together a list of like 20 guys and go through it and say, okay, who could be it? And Florida was a team that had a good year, so I took a look at it. It continues. If Mizzou goes 10-2 while beating one ranked team, I bet you call it a product of an easy schedule.
You anti-Missouri person.
Well, right?
When have you ever built up a reputation for being a Tiger hater?
Hang on. I said, wow. I said I considered him, and you leap to the conclusion that he almost got the vote. You should be in the Olympics. I also have to submit a first, second, and third, so it's not just finding one guy, right?
Right.
And then it's a double standard. Mizzou wins, and, quote, the SEC is down. They lose, and, quote, they can't compete in the league. How am I getting that?
Well, first of all, I'm
on board with the hire.
He can be mad about it, but also Missouri did win the East when a few prominent programs were down. That is it's just a fact.
That's Danny Clinkscale.
I mean, it's a fact. Somebody's got to win. You need to take advantage. I mean, Kansas football was good when K-State wasn't very good. It's going to be tough we've said it. People said it all along. I agree with them. It's going to be hard for Kansas and Kansas State to be good at the same time in football.
Iowa wins the Big Ten when Michigan or Ohio State stumble.
Right.
And Penn State now. I mean, that's how it works. And that's the level that those programs, I'd put Missouri there, and I'd put, I used to say Missouri should aspire to be Iowa. Somebody said they're already Iowa. And I went to look at them like, yeah, with two division titles and competing in 4
But historically, they're not Iowa.
Historically, Iowa's better. But of late, they've been in it. What they haven't done is win their conference, which Iowa has. So I'd say they're right below Iowa. I would give Iowa a nod, but they're right up there. But, I mean, I
think they still should aspire to be
Iowa. But this is like, and I'll add, this is a friend, okay, that fired this at me. Okay, and so, like, this is the mindset with, like, this is where.
This is team turmoil.
Well, yes, and my point is, like, you need to not be worrying about me, and you need to be worrying about your chancellor and your president and your board of curators getting the hiring right. Like, all the venom, like, don't waste your time with me. Who cares what I think? Win.
Right, and win, and you're not going to – those division championships were won.
Curtis, you're a Tiger fan.
Yep.
Does Mizzou get a bad rap, an unfair shake in this town?
I've not thought of it in those terms. I don't think a bad rap or a unfair shake. No,
it's the Missouri fans who are the first ones to say, "Oh, we Missouri that one."
Yeah, that's the thing. Everyone,
so Missouri. Oh my God,
right. And that's what I say when KU or K-State fans will say, Missouri fans are always hating Kansas and K-State. I'm like, we have to hate ourselves first. When we get done crapping on our own team, then we'll worry about you. We're busy constructing elaborate heartbreak scenarios for our football and basketball teams. So you worry about KU or K-State.
I get it. I can say my brother sucks, but you better not.
Right.
Right? I get that mindset of it, but, I mean, listen.
Facts is facts.
It's
not like Missouri went toe-to-toe with the best programs that year. I mean, Georgia was in a little low. Jump in, take advantage, do it. I'll say
they did,
and they did. And I'll say this: I think you better cherish those two because I think the next one's going to be a long time coming.
They did battle the best programs in the conference. Unfortunately, it was in the conference championship game when they got smoked in all four of them. They were in the game for a half against Oklahoma in 2007. They were in
and Auburn.
They were down 1 to Auburn in the midway part of the third quarter. They ended up losing all 4 of those games by double digits. But Gary Pinkel today said in the breakout session that he thinks he's not happy with the bar being low. So, and I think that's an admirable position to take, particularly as the guy who kind of put those flags up there in the first place.
How do you
Twice
think
they were 1 win away from a national championship game. They should be able to get back there. That should be what you aspire to at least.
Did anybody down there ask Pinkel what he thought of whether or not this is a turnaround? Is it would he characterize the situation that Drinkwitz is coming into as a turnaround?
It's a turnaround.
Because that was Barry Odom's big drum beating session that first year where they were losing and he lost it. And he's like, let's be clear about this. This is a turnaround. Yeah. That's what this is. This is a turnaround.
After getting smoked by Auburn by 38 points.
Yeah, he's basically saying this program was nowhere when I got here. And
he did have issues.
Resurrected from the dead.
Football-wise and personnel-wise and things like that. But it was a.
They had the boycott and all that going on, but they had exactly one down year. One.
Yes.
Right.
And for him to be sitting there, I thought he was completely out of line. I said it at the time.
His first year was 2 years removed from a division champion.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't like
he was down in the situation that Gary Pinkel took over.
No.
And so if I were Pinkel, I'd be like, screw you, punk.
Good riddance.
Yeah.
We'll be the D coordinator at Troy. Isn't that about what the next step's going to be for him?
So people thought that he could end up at where did I see one of the popular things? Was it Fuente taking the?
Yeah.
They were talking about Fuente taking the Arkansas job or the Ole Miss job, and him going down there as defensive coordinator, getting back together with Fuente. Then Fuente won down the stretch and saved the day. But then I couldn't believe, wait a minute. He was fired by Virginia Tech fans on October 1st. And then you want to talk about a cream puff schedule, see the ACC. Against a cream puff schedule, he then rolls and gets to an 8-4 season, and now he's keeping his job.
Right.
But the little shine's off that guy, too. So.
Got to do a little Chiefs, don't we?
No, we're going to take a break. And then we're going to talk.
That's what I meant.
More Mizzou. Yes.
Cats get screwed in the bowl. That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
Which they did. Got it.
I like this one.
You're liking your text stream.
I am. I got another Mizzou guy who says, by the way, yes, to the question to me, Steve McNair did wear 9, but he didn't win the Heisman. He says, you need to see how Mizzou is covered in St. Louis. Way more eyeballs and AHs over there.
It's pro town.
Yeah, they come at him a little rougher. We'll take a break, come back, talk about the Chiefs next here in the program.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
We're here with Joe Spiker of Easton Roofing. And Joe, oftentimes people will wait to replace their roof until there is a weather event. What should they know about that?
Well, Danny, the important thing to remember is if you're going to turn in a claim to your insurance company, you want to make sure that you actually have damage on your home. If you turn in a claim to your insurance company and they send an insurance adjuster out, it's going to be a claim whether they give you $1 or $10,000. So it's important to make sure that you actually have damage on your home before you turn that claim in. And all you have to do is give us a call. We'll come out, take a look, and make sure there's real damage, and we'll tell you if there's not. Maybe it's just a small repair and it's not worth a claim. So it's always smart to get somebody you trust to make sure there's damage before you turn in a claim.
Quality advice and guidance from Easton Roofing, where integrity matters. If you'd like to join these and other great sponsors and market your business to a growing and engaged audience, contact us at Danny@DannyKlinkScale.com. Look forward to hearing from you.
Here in the program on Sports Radio 810 WHB, Danny Klinkskill with us. Danny Unleashed, brought to you by our friends at Easton Roofing. 4 straight years voted Best of Houses, Angie's List Super Service Award winner. Check out their reviews on Google. No payment collected until you're 100% satisfied. Credit cards and PayPal are accepted. Easton Roofing, check it out. If you've got a cold upstairs or ice dams forming in your gutters, lots of icicles hanging from your gutters, this could be a sign that you need more attic insulation, and Easton Roofing is happy to do that for you. Better attic ventilation could be a problem as well. Call Easton Roofing today at 913-257-5426, online at eastonroofing.com. Danny, are you positive about the Chiefs' victory in New England, or negative, as shockingly there were a number of fans that were?
I think the way the game progressed created that tone, but you win a game in Foxborough when nobody else does, then I think you have to be positive about it. I think the fact is that people were watching the game and the Patriots looked like they just didn't have it. So I think they felt, even though they had, the little Patriot man on the side of their helmet, that they were just kind of beating a lesser team. Hey, the Patriots have won a lot of ugly games this year, and you beat them. So you put Tom Brady under a tremendous amount of duress, but when you're watching the game, I think what you're thinking is that, first of all, the thing that jumps out when you watch the Patriots play now is that their receivers can't beat anybody. I mean, they just can't separate. They can't win. When people talk about, you got to win some battles out there.
Right.
I mean, they're just surrendering on every pass play. I mean, you're looking downfield and you're like, boy, he's blanketed. He's blanketed. What's Brady supposed to do? So I think that's the reaction. And also, I mean, now the concerning thing about the game is we are now in a pattern when the Chiefs have played a good team and had their hands around their neck. They've given them a little kiss on the cheek the rest of the game. I mean,
maybe they're out of this. This is what I would offer. Are they out of all the gotcha moments? Well, and that this is a team that then it comes back to where it's like, well, that's when you just want to run over somebody. Well, they did that against the Raiders, right? Darwin Thompson, most of his 44 yards rushing came in that final quarter, and they finished. You're
supposed to have the weapons to continue on if you get something rolling pretty good. I mean, they're.
Listen, it's a.
I think it's an issue.
I'm not making an excuse for it. I'm trying to understand why.
Right.
And I do think that there are, I think the Patriots. I heard, I don't know who was talking today. Would they have gone for two if they tied the game? Absolutely.
I had the feeling they would, yes.
Because you don't want to go any further. Somebody said they were out of tricks. And that's how I put it. I think the Patriots have played every card, but I also think it's possible Andy Reid's played every card in some of these games, and that's it. They've now figured out what he's doing differently against good teams. They go, okay, I see what you're doing, and now we're there. Like, Tony Romo figured out what Steve Spagnuolo was doing. And they called out, okay, look, they're doubling, and that's why they're doubling Edelman, and that's why they're putting him out wide, because look how far the safety's got to run, which is opening up the middle, and you're giving it to Tom Brady all day. They finally figured it out and got around to it. Well, that happens the other way, too.
Right, but to the point where I say that the Patriots don't have guys who can win individual battles, the Chiefs are supposed to have those guys. And I think I think
they have two of them.
I think they're being mitigated by right now is Sammy Watkins is just no-show in games. He's just no-show in games. I mean, the Patriots, we know the template they have laid down. We're going to take Travis Kelce away. We're going to take Tyreek Hill away. See if we can or not. Kelce had a nice day. But that should create – if you're Sammy Watkins and you're making the money you're making, and I don't care about the money part, but you're supposed to be worthy of that. You got signed and you got two other studs, that's the kind of day where you should be going 11 for 120.
I agree.
And it's just not happening.
No, I'm in total agreement.
It's almost like he's like, you know what, I don't like it here. I'm going to play half-assed and get cut. I'll go somewhere else next year.
I
mean, I'm sure.
I agree.
I can't imagine that's his thought process.
No, I don't think it is.
He's playing like he is.
I think it's one of total apathy.
Right. You should be, as the third wheel to those two studs, you should be having some big days. It should be like Alvin Harper when, he had guys around with the Cowboys when he had guys around him and turned himself into a, big contract player. Now, maybe Watkins just isn't any good. But.
All right, so let's talk about what they've got talent-wise. I think it's time for us to have a big piece of wake-up pie on how talented they are on offense. Number one, Mahomes is somewhere between 95 and 70% of
I
what
don't
he
think
was
he's
last
anywhere
year.
near 95. So.
Well, I'm just trying to give a range,
Right.
okay? The knee's not healthy. In this game, the wrist was hurt, and presumably the ankle's now healthy. But, he's not what he was. The interior of the offensive line.
Shambles.
Duvernay-Tardif has not lived up to his contract. And
they've all been dinged up to some extent.
They all have, and they've had injuries all along in there. But last week they had them all back, and it still wasn't that great.
Although during the game they got to a point where they were playing all 5 of their healthy offensive linemen for a period of time. Wiley went out, and somebody else went out.
Let's get to the quote unquote weapons. Okay, there isn't a weapon in the backfield.
True.
Spencer Ware was released. Darwin Thompson is a 6th-round pick. Hell, Damian Williams, the Dolphins didn't want, and he had a bum shoulder. LaShawn McCoy was cut by the Bills.
Those guys are not.
There's no weapon in the backfield.
Right, and Watkins has turned into a non-weapon. But you are supposed to have the 2 of the best tight end in the business and the best wide receiver.
Right, and they have those 2 things.
Right.
They have those 2 things. But Watkins is an 800 when featured as a number 1 receiver is an 800-yard wideout. That's what he is. He had 1,000-yard season. The rest of the time he averages about 800 yards. And he's proven to be exactly that. You hope you catch lightning in the bottle. And I don't mind that signing because it was really insurance against Tyreek Hill with baby mama coming back into the fold. I know that to be the case. All right, I know it. All right, but then Mecole Hardman. Yes, they do a great job with Mecole Hardman. But he is Darwin Thompson at wideout.
Right.
They can't play him all the time because he doesn't know where to go. The entire training camp was spent with Patrick Mahomes yelling at Mecole Hardman because he wasn't going where he was supposed to go.
He's like the guy where you're playing in New York City, football in New York City. You run down to the fire hydrant, and if you beat the guy, I'll throw it to you.
He comes on the field to either be the guy they throw the ball to or to be the decoy that they're going to throw it to set something else up. Otherwise, he's not on the field for a reason. And Demarcus Robinson, we think he's good because he's had a big game once. He's a peripheral guy.
Well, that's what happens when you're hometown fans and you have a guy who has the day, and you're like, oh, Demarcus Robinson, he's going to be something. Look, he went 5 for 80 today. And he gets a little sidebar story in the Star, and everybody's like, oh, that's what he's going to do all the time. No, that's not what he's going to do all the time.
We should just,
you like the way this house party just broke out?
I do. Testing the speakers on something. Sound pretty good.
They do.
Danny, great stuff, buddy. We'll talk to you again next week.
It's unleashed in here.
Yes, it is. Danny Klinkskill, Easton Roofing, proud sponsors of Danny.
This podcast was made possible by our great sponsors like Easton Roofing, the presenting sponsor of Kansas City Profiles at the Danny Klinkskill Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Easton Roofing, where integrity matters. We hope you enjoyed the latest Danny Klinkskill Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Come back soon for something fresh and new.